"Mom, why is Dad sitting out there like he owns the place?" my son whispered, tugging at his bow tie as we sneaked a glance toward the chapel window. I stayed crouched behind the bushes in the parking lot, my hand pressing the USB drive in my pocket until it burned my palm. 3 years. 3 long years of lies, courtrooms, and sleepless nights, all leading to this moment. Through the glass, I watched Rebecca Carter adjust her veil, laughing like nothing had ever happened. Her bridesmaids fawned around her, but I only saw the woman who had stolen my life, convinced my son I was dangerous, and erased the father I once was. "Dad?" My mother's voice came through the earpiece, calm and steady. "I've got it right here. Just say the word." The man at the altar, Gregory Hayes, stood like a statue in a tailored suit, the kind of man who never knew the smell of oil or the ache of a long day spent fixing engines. He was everything I wasn't, everything she always pretended she wanted, the golden trophy replacing a life she ruined. Noah stood there, clutching his tuxedo lapels like he always did when nervous, 13 years old, staring at a future where his dad's love was confined to memories. Memories I'd tried to preserve in a small apartment above my old auto shop, where grease-stained hands taught him how to throw a curveball, how to fix a squeaky brake, how to believe in himself. The chapel bells began their deep, bronze toll, each chime a heartbeat counting down to the moment I would let the truth speak. I kept my car in park, engine idling, tasting the spring air thick with roses and betrayal. The recording was perfect, 2 minutes and 42 seconds of her voice admitting every lie, every manipulation, every calculated move to destroy me. 3 years ago, I had a shop, a life, a son who trusted me with all the tiny details of growing up. Bennett Auto Repair, no, Carter Auto, had been the center of my world. Richard Carter, my father, had built it from nothing. My mornings smelled of motor oil and ambition. My afternoons were full of Noah's laughter bouncing off the concrete floors. Customers weren't just cars. They were neighbors, friends, people who believed in me. Then Rebecca came along, beautiful, polished, smiling. The warning signs were subtle. Small manipulations, twisted words, tiny lies that felt harmless at the time. "Daniel, you promised the Bahamas," she'd say, even when I hadn't. Compliments turned to digs. Facts twisted into fiction until my own memory felt suspect. The divorce began quietly. Joint custody, an apartment above the shop, pizza nights, homework at the corner desk, the small victories of a father fighting to stay present. Then Gregory Hayes entered her life. A man with money, influence, and charm, standing in stark contrast to a mechanic who changed lives with his hands, not his bank account. 2 weeks after the first spark of their affair, the accusations arrived. Police at my shop. Domestic violence. Allegations. Lies meticulously crafted over months. Photographs, diaries, sworn statements, and whispers that spread faster than wildfire. The gavel struck like a hammer to my chest. Temporary restraining order, emergency custody granted, a father erased from his son's life. I watched neighbors avoid me, friends whisper behind hands. The shop began bleeding money, loyal employees lost, savings gone. Lawyer fees devoured every last cent. Even my father, Richard, and mother, Margaret, watched helplessly, steady anchors against a storm of deception. Then came the settlement meeting at her lawyer's sleek downtown office. I should have walked away, but desperation makes men grasp at any rope, even if it's tied into a noose. She sat there, flawless, navy dress, pearls, the picture of victimhood. Jonathan Price, her lawyer, slid papers across the table, brutal, unfair terms disguised as generosity. Supervised visits, no overnights, tens of thousands in support, all while she smiled as if justice had already been served. That was the day I realized some battles can't be fought with courts alone. Some battles wait for the perfect moment. Now, 15 minutes from disaster, my mother held the key. Noah beside her, Gregory oblivious, the crowd unsuspecting. The recording would play. The truth would strike. The lies would unravel. And finally, after 3 long years, Rebecca Carter would see the world she built on deception crumble under the weight of reality. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white, savoring the seconds. I fell because of lies. She was about to fall because of the truth. And this time I would watch. The office door clicked, leaving Rebecca Carter and me alone. For the first time since she'd ruined my life, It was just her and me, a quiet charged with the weight of years. She leaned back in her chair, twirling a pen like a predator sizing up its prey. "You know, Daniel," she said, her voice sweet but sharp. "This could all be over. Just sign the papers, agree to the limited visitation, and I'll drop the lawsuit. Gregory's lawyer has drafted everything." I checked the time on my watch, a nervous habit, and my thumb found the record button on my phone before I realized what I was doing. It rested on the table, disguised as fidgeting. "And if I don't?" I asked, my voice quiet, but tense. She laughed, a brittle sound like cracking ice. "Then I'll make sure you never work another day in this town. Gregory has influence everywhere. One word, and your shop's gone, your reputation shredded. Did you know we're turning it into a wine bar?" My stomach sank. The lies she'd told, the bruises she'd faked, they were all calculated. "Rebecca, those marks, you did this to yourself," I said, struggling for calm. "Of course I did," she replied casually, as if discussing the weather. "A rubber mallet, strategic placement, a few backdated diary entries. Simple. Diane owed me a favor from years ago. It's amazing how little effort it takes to ruin someone." "Why?" I whispered, voice cracking, just like it had the night I felt powerless in high school. "Why do this to me? To Noah? Gregory doesn't want another man's child part-time. He wants a fresh start. 2 kids of our own, maybe 3. Noah will adjust better in one stable home. You were always small-town Daniel. Grease under your fingernails, your life content with a little auto shop. Gregory offers the life I deserve, European vacations, a house with a name, clubs and connections. And you couldn't give him that." Before I could respond, the door opened. Jonathan Price walked in, talking about precedents and past rulings, and Rebecca's expression instantly changed into the victim everyone else saw. "It's just so hard," she said, dabbing her eyes with a tissue she conjured from somewhere. I left that office with 2 minutes and 42 seconds of unfiltered truth recorded on my phone. On the day of the wedding, the spring sky was flawless, the kind of weather that demanded attention. Maple Grove Chapel gleamed, white and pristine, its bells poised to ring for a union built on deceit. I parked my pickup across the street, 15 minutes before the ceremony, in the perfect spot to watch both the entrance and the side window into the reception hall. Guests arrived in waves. Mayor Williams and his wife in their Cadillac, country club directors and their wives, neighbors, former customers, all of whom had abandoned me or whispered behind my back. I spotted Noah among the groomsmen, tugging at his bow tie, clearly uncomfortable, glancing around as if searching for me. Inside, Gregory Hayes adjusted his cufflinks at the altar, flanked by men in matching tuxedos, looking every bit the sophisticated figure Rebecca had always wanted. The music shifted, and Rebecca appeared at the chapel entrance, a vision in white, her gown's train held by attendants, veil sparkling under a diamond tiara. She had invited everyone to witness what she thought was her triumph. The ceremony flowed like clockwork, each vow and ring exchange a layer of irony that churned my stomach. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw the minister's mouth move, spouting the usual promises of love and trust while the truth of her deception hung over the room. By the time everyone moved into the reception hall, it was nearly surreal. White roses adorned every table, crystal chandeliers reflected perfectly, and the dance floor gleamed like black ice. Champagne glasses floated midair as waiters navigated the crowd. Speeches began, Gregory's best man recounting college days, Rebecca's sister praising her resilience. Every word cut like a knife, but I waited. Patience had become my weapon over the past 3 years. Then came my mother. At 72, Margaret Carter moved with the precision and resolve of someone decades younger. "Excuse me, everyone," she said, her voice carrying clearly across the hall. "I have something to share about the bride." Confusion flashed on Rebecca's face. My mother approached the DJ booth, handed over the USB drive. "Please play this now." The DJ hesitated, but my mother's tone left no room for argument. The moment the recording played, Rebecca's voice filled the room. Calm, candid, confessing everything. How she'd fabricated bruises, manipulated diaries, coerced witnesses. Silence fell like a shroud. Champagne froze mid-toast. Forks hovered over plates, and every guest's eyes widened. Gregory turned to her in horror. "Rebecca, what is this?" It's amazing how a few tears and lies can destroy a life. Her voice continued from the speakers. Each sentence precise, surgical, unraveling 3 years of deceit. Noah rose from his chair, confused, hearing the mother he had trusted admit to destroying his father's life. The room remained frozen. Then chaos erupted. Gregory's mother stood, shaking, voice cracking as decades of composure shattered. You lied about abuse. You weaponized the court system. I can explain, Rebecca stammered, reaching toward Gregory. He recoiled as if she were venomous. Explain? Explain taking a child from his father with lies. Gregory's face darkened, a mix of betrayal and rage. He yanked off his platinum wedding band. This marriage is annulled. My lawyers will be in contact. Everyone here is my witness. It was entered under false pretenses. He stormed out. Guests followed, some in shock, some ashamed. Judge Harrison, present as Gregory's friend, looked physically ill, realizing the extent of what had unfolded. Diane Phillips attempted to slip away, but Rebecca's sister grabbed her. You lied under oath, she yelled. Diane fled, high heels clicking across marble like a countdown to justice. Noah bolted from the hall and ran into the parking lot, sobbing. My heart ached, but I stayed in the truck, restraining orders still active. Within 48 hours, the recording went viral. Headlines screamed about the wedding exposed by the bride's own confession. Investigations began, perjury charges filed, Diane Phillips and other friends admitted to lying under pressure. The custody order was overturned in an emergency hearing. Judge Harrison recused himself, reputation in ruins. A new judge from the neighboring county restored full custody immediately. When Noah first returned to me, standing uncertain in the doorway, backpack slung awkwardly, I dropped to my knees and hugged him tight. Nothing to be sorry for, I whispered. You were supposed to believe her. That's what makes this so wrong. We rebuilt together. Engines restored, cars fixed, a 1968 Mustang brought back to life. Lessons in work ethic, patience, and truth became part of our daily lives. Richard Carter, my father, nodded proudly as Noah learned the ropes. You fix more than cars, he said one afternoon. You fix what's broken. Rebecca Carter faced probation, community service, and the consequences of her deception. Gregory Hayes sent a brief, heartfelt letter, acknowledging his mistakes and praising Noah's resilience. The shop was gone, converted into the wine bar she'd once bragged about. But the truth endured. My reputation, my relationship with Noah, and our shared life could never be taken from us again. The experience taught me patience, resilience, and the power of waiting for the right moment. Noah now lives with me full-time, thriving in school and baseball, helping with cars on weekends. Margaret Carter, my mother, became a quiet hero in town. And I learned that rock bottom is only the foundation for rebuilding, that truth will always rise, and that patience, paired with justice, is the strongest weapon a man can wield.